This time last year, Sebastian Stan was eating people. I'm John Stark from MacroMovieGuide.com, and this is a review of Sharper. This is a new Apple Plus movie, and it has audio description. It's also from A24, which is interesting, I guess, because I feel like A24 does a pretty good job of getting their own movies out there, as witnessed by the fact that they have like a bajillion Oscar nominations this year from several different films. They're responsible for, you know, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Whale, After Sun, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. So I mean, they're good. They're fine. They got their stuff going on. But now they've teamed with Apple, which got Brian Tyree Henry that nomination. So who knows? Maybe we'll see Sharper at next year's Oscars. I doubt it, but stranger things have happened. Yeah, that reference at the beginning was reminding you that it was almost exactly this same time last year when Hulu dropped Sebastian Stan's Fresh into our laps, where he ate people. So at least we're not doing that anymore. Fresh was fine as a film. I mean, it was actually well made for a film I didn't think I would like. This film I didn't really know what to think, except for there was a little thing that I had heard about in the news, which I guess I can't really even say because it's kind of like a spoiler. But it was just an interesting like tidbit of information. I was like, I didn't know that. Oh, good for her. And that was all I knew about Sharper going into this, was that there was going to be this one thing that happens at some point in the film that is unlike anything that's been done before. So, yeah. It stars Julianne Moore, Sebastian Stan, John Lithgow, and the person we really need to talk about, Brianna Middleton, who jumps into this film as being the, who the hell is she? You know, she's not, nobody's using the film to promote her. Nobody's like, oh my God, we gotta make sure the world knows about Brianna Middleton. No, she's just out there doing her thing. And she's great in this, to come in here and hold her own against other, you know, more established actors. I thought she did a really good job. So it's really hard to describe this movie without spoiling anything that would be remotely interesting in it. This film is constantly trying to twist and turn and be smarter than you. And I can just talk about whether or not it works or not and try to tell you really briefly what the film is about. Or at least what it wants you to think it's about. We open with Brianna Middleton, and she's, her character, Sandy Sandra, is, trying to just get this book from this cute guy at this bookstore, and then they get like in a relationship, and that moves on, and then she meets Sebastian Stan's character, who sees that she's in this situation, and he tries to fix it, and then he drafts her into, he turns out to be this guy that knows how to elaborate, you know, scheme people. Just he's got it down pat. So he, one of my favorite things about the film is when he tells her, you need to know a little bit about everything, so that, you know, the idea is that she could talk about any topic convincingly, which he does so to her. You know, he proves to her that he can carry on a conversation about a movie he's never seen. He asks her what her favorite movie is, and she says it, and then he makes some general comments about it, and she's like, oh, well, yeah. And he's like, no, I never saw it. But it made you think I did. And so he teaches her how to do that because he needs help running a game. And then we see that his mother is played by Julianne Moore, and that Julianne Moore is dating a wealthy older gentleman played by John Lithgow. And yep, that's it. The film kind of works in chapters as it shifts between the leads. So there really isn't a lead to this film, not discernibly. Although arguably you could say Brianna Middleton is actually the lead of the film simply because of when she's introduced screen time wise, even though because of when the perspective gets to a certain point in the story, it shifts in a way where she doesn't need to be there for a little while. So there's this gap in the film where there's no Brianna Middleton. It still kind of feels like she might be the lead. This is sort of a leadless film. It's really, she's the closest thing to a protagonist that we have in this film. It's pretty good. I'll be honest. It didn't blow me away. Some of this stuff is a little predictable, but I can't discuss it because it may not be predictable to you. I can just say that not everything did I think, oh, that definitely, yep, this tracks. Because it's constantly trying to make so many little choices and decisions of things not appearing as they seem, so that things twist around. Now, I will admit, it definitely got me. Like, at least once. There was at least one big one where I was like, oh, shit. I did not see that coming. Solid point. 1 point sharper. But some of it was a little bit. I was like, okay, well, after a little while, you start looking for it and you start expecting it. When a film is so, it's sort of like the same thing that I felt while watching Smile, right? The film that I've been told had like 100 jump scares in it. And after a while, you start feeling the jump scares and you just start looking for them. You're like, okay, so where's the jump scare? Okay, there's gonna be a jump scare here. Oh, nope, there's a jump scare. You know, it's a little like that. It's once you unveil yourself as trying to be the twistiest movie ever made, people start looking for the twists. That's why people usually stick with the big one at the end. You know, they usually stick with the big, who's Kaiser Soze? You know, oh my God, what? You know, because that's the reaction you get at the end of that film. If they did that the whole film, by the time you get around to it, you'd be like, dude, I don't know. This guy's probably, oh, he is Kaiser Soze. I was right. You know, so it's a bit of a gamble to kind of run a film where you are constantly throwing a twist at somebody and being like, nope, gotcha, nope, gotcha. Everybody in here's a liar. So nothing is as it seems. It's like, okay. At least with something like The Glass Onion, we still have like Daniel Craig's character to like root us down, but with this film, I didn't have anybody who I knew, to be honest, and like wasn't hiding something or wasn't trying to be something they're not. So, yeah, I was constantly looking for the but what if? Yes, and I think that made it just slightly a little bit less enjoyable. I think that's why A24 was willing to dump this onto Apple and be like, yeah, this isn't Everything Everywhere All at Once. You can have it. Enjoy. And when Apple was like, oh, where should we release this? February. Yep, that feels about right. This one has no shot at Oscar consideration, and we just need product. So let's get this out there before people start talking about anything in 2022, because now it can start really soon. Everything Everywhere premiered at South by Southwest in March and released in theaters in April, and it's the leading contender for Best Picture. So who knows when the next big thing will hit. So yeah, you got to get if you're gonna try to get some product out there, you got to dump that, get rid of it early in the year. I don't know. It's not a bad film. It's fine, and I thought Brianna Middleton did a good job. It's just it's a weird structure. It's a directorial debut, which for a directorial debut, I thought it did a really good job. This might be in like my top 5 directorial debuts at the end of the year. I think he definitely bit off more than he could chew here. I mean, this is damn. You're really going for it with this. But there's a lot to like here, but at the same time, I think everybody's going to be on a different level. I think there'll be some people who will want to say, regardless of whether or not they were actually not surprised by anything, they'll want to be that guy that was like, I saw it all coming from the beginning. The minute she was in the bookstore, I was like, bam, this is how the movie ends. Those people always exist. And, like, they think that we don't know that they're bullshit, but they exist. They're like, I called the ending within the first 5 minutes. That would be impossible in this film to do that because of how it's structured. But somebody out there will say it. Somebody will be like, I called it. I called it. When we came back, I called it. Cool. Cool, bro. Yeah, the performances here are fine. The film just, yeah, it's maybe a little sharper than it needs to be. I could have used more John Lithgow, by the way. I don't think, I mean, maybe that's a spoiler, but I feel like by the time we get around to his character, we've already seen so much of Brianna Middleton and Sebastian Stan that by the time we introduce Julianne Moore and John Lithgow, they're like, oh shit, we introduced them at the same time. Who do we give screen time to? Julianne Moore. Like, John Lithgow just, he has scenes. He's in the movie for a while, but I just feel like of the 4, he has the least amount of screen time, and of the 4, he's, I don't know, my favorite of the 4. I tend to generally always like what John Lithgow's doing as an actor, so, and I really liked him in this, so that's that. Audio description is fine. You'll enjoy it. It works itself really well. This is kind of a twisty mystery, but it's not the kind of twisty mystery that's based on, ridiculous little clues that you're supposed to be looking for the whole film, like, oh, what shirt was he wearing in that scene? Or, oh, is he holding the same elephant that he was holding in 3 scenes earlier? And that it's something like that. It's just, it's other stuff. It's twisty in other ways. It's twisty without you having to pick up on weird little visual cues. So, it's just well supported by audio description, but it's not constantly looking for things that we wouldn't be able to follow or see or understand otherwise. It's just the general feel of the film is that it's trying to constantly twist, which it is. There's my sharp review. I don't know what else to say, because I can't, it's a film I can't really talk about, because at any length I will end up spoiling something, and then the film is pointless. So don't let this film be spoiled for you, because then it is pointless. This film is pointless if you know how it's going to end going into it. This film is all about the ride and watching it evolve. It's like watching somebody put a Rubik's Cube together. there are points at which where you're like, nah, he's not gonna be able to do it. He just moved. He had the whole thing together on one side, and then he moved it, and then oh my god, it's back, and he has two sides. You know, it's it's just sort of like watching it happen. So and play out, and just you have to know that at some point you get to an ending, and will it satisfy you? I don't know, but I'm gonna give Sharper a B. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with that. A24 usually doesn't try to make shitty movies. So even though this is something that they felt comfortable selling to Apple, or Apple felt comfortable buying from A24, however this worked, it's not something that is necessarily garbage A24. I've seen worse A24 films. So anyway, enjoy, take part in this world of Sharper, and please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I hope you become one. I'd love to see you back again, so we can keep doing this and talking about films. You know, do you ask yourself, do you have a blind film critic that you subscribe to? And if the answer is no, at least throw me in there. You know, I mean, like, I'll diversify your YouTube channels. I also have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And the ADNA.org will let you know who's describing your favorite films and television series. Although, oddly enough, Apple's starting this thing now, like Peacock, where it like pushes me into something else. And this movie, it started pushing me into that Harrison Ford sitcom that I hadn't started yet. It was like, ooh, maybe you want to watch this. I was like, no, I want to watch those credits. What are you doing, Apple? So now I have to figure out how to disable Apple's. I don't even know if I can. I don't know what's up with all these streaming services not wanting people to watch credits anymore. But it's so weird. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I will review something else and get back and see you on the other side.